Hello again! I am here today with my friend Kaylee from History with Kaylee.
Hi.
She's visiting me down here in Devon and we're working on a collab on each of our channels.
Yep.
Do you want to tell them a little bit more about the video you'll be doing on your channel?
I'll be looking into the history of Devon, going from the prehistoric times up until like the late medieval times.
So I thought it would be a fun idea to do a little early medieval period Dark Ages lookbook based on the time where the county of Devon, the Kingdom of Devon, came into being. That kingdom was known as the Kingdom of Dumnonia, and it was a Celtic kingdom that came about after the fall of the Roman period in Britain, around the 4th to 9th century Common Era. So we're going to be exploring the fashions of this period and making modern versions based on the type of garments available, the looks, and yeah, just how to bring that little bit of history into our everyday life.
Yeah.
Plus, I get to dress Kaylee up, so I don't have to change my outfit 7,000 times today. So I'm gonna split this video into two sections: clothing of the working class and the clothing of the wealthy noble classes, because as we know, those are two different things. So in this time period, sumptuary laws were in effect, which were laws that limited the showing of extravagance by the working class people. This means that the lower classes weren't allowed to throw feasts, overly extravagant festivals, dress in too extravagant ways, as they weren't really allowed to imitate the wealthy classes.
I feel for them.
Yeah, I mean...
No feasts?
Well, the laws weren't necessarily very needed because it was cost prohibitive. They couldn't really buy silk to imitate the wealthy classes.
Yeah.
But the wealthy had those laws anyway. Don't even
think about it.
Don't even think about it. But yeah, this distinction definitely reflected itself in the clothing of the time period. Because clothes were more of a practicality, it didn't really change much, even though this time period is obviously pretty broad, a few centuries.
Yeah.
Women and men often had very similar types of dress, where simple tunics took the forefront of the style. In terms of materials that working class people used, wool was definitely one of the major fabrics used. Not only was it easy to come by, but it was a very practical fabric.
Yeah.
Most people had easy access to sheep and wool. So not only was it easy to repair, but also spinning and processing wool took on a community aspect and was something that people could do together because the wool had to be processed, washed, burrs picked out, spun.
I've spun wool.
Oh. I have 3 bags of rare breed sheep wool downstairs right now.
That's dope.
So yeah, we could do this.
I spun wool at like my kindergarten school, and I can tell you this, it's like one of the most boring things you do in your life. And you sit there for like 2.5 hours with just this. That's it. Just this is your life now.
I think more in this period it was with a hand spun drop spindle.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit more tactile. But yeah, I got some raw wool downstairs. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with it yet. I definitely want to try spinning some. So besides wool, the other main material used by the working class was hemp, because hemp was very easy to grow and very easy to process. So it wasn't as restrictive as things like linen, which has a big processing element that was not easy and thus made it more expensive.
Hemp was lighter, so they would use that more in like the lighter months, and like wool was more for like autumn and winter.
Exactly. Starting off our clothes of the commoners category, we have the variation on a tunic. For my look, I'm wearing a reproduction tunic over some plain black trousers and cinched it all in the middle to make it a little bit more shapely for modern wear. This look was more inspired by the men's version of the tunic, and it makes me feel like the romantic boy prompt from my randomly generated aesthetics video. For Kaylee, I've styled her with more of a woman's-style tunic look. A simple sleeves top and skirt make up the base, and I've layered a large shawl to drape like a Middle Ages tunic. These tunics were made from one piece of fabric with a hole in the middle for the head, so they would drape over the wearer with comfort and ease. And I think we've recreated that pretty well here. Look at me in my silly little outfit. I've done another tunic-based look, but this time tried to make it look a little less serious in a way. Mainly I took inspo from this guy. Look at him in his silly cap and tights. I respect him and am filled with envy. Kaylee's look is more of the kind of way I bring this aesthetic to my everyday outfits. A simple chemise with a long apron over it helps to give that historical style look, while adding a bit of fabric detail at the middle gives it that little bit of interest so it's not too plain. Now we are going to move on to clothes in more of the wealthy class, what they were wearing, and taking our inspiration from that. Now, clothes of the wealthy class were often more or less similar in shape, utilized a lot of tunics, long skirts, but they used much higher quality materials. Where the common folk used hemp, the wealthy used linen. Ooh. Yes, very fancy. And that's because, as I said before, linen required a lot more processing. Growing it was much more difficult. It required more specific conditions. And even today, linen is a premium product. But it is renowned for its steadfastness, its lovely quality. And of course, I'm going to put Kaylee here in my finest linen dress of the time period. Silk was also available, but it was very, very pricey because it had to be imported, of course. So it was the ultimate status symbol.
So only the highest of nobles would be able to like have silk.
Exactly. Even like what we would describe as like upper middle class or lower upper class people couldn't afford silk. It was for the best of the best.
Like the millionaires and the billionaires at the time.
The ancient Jeff Bezos.
I already hate him.
Wealthy dress was more elaborate than common wear, and utilized lots of different layers to achieve different fashion effects.
Okay.
Usually this was tunics of varying sleeve lengths that were layered to give a more interesting look. And because they were wealthy, they had to, you know, zhuzh it up a little bit. And that's where they brought in things like elaborately bordered hems, sometimes a brooch, a fancy cloak clasp, to help further show their status. So yeah, they are dressing with the same principles, but definitively holding on to their status in the details. For my first noble-inspired look, I'm experimenting more with those deep, rich color tones that the wealthy had access to. This dress is a little bit more modern in its cut, which is quite revealing. So I've added a high neck mesh top under it. This is one of those things that I think looked better in my head, but I liked the challenge of trying to get more skin covered in line with historical parameters, but played with it a bit with a more modern, risque fabric. I pulled out all the stops for Kaylee's noble attire look with my floor-length linen dress. This piece has removable sleeves, which I think really gives the drama of the time period, and I've layered this over my simple chemise, which fills in the gaps. This dress gets me all of the compliments when I'm out and about. This outfit is another menswear inspired piece for me. I took inspiration from old depictions of nobles where they have their little skirts and their quilted vests and their big poofy sleeves. This outfit is certainly not made for battle or for practical work. It's just to show you how very fancy I am. Well, what did you think of our journey through fashions past today?
I mean, I've never worn clothes like these, but it's something different and I like it. The way that you incorporate the old-fashioned with like the newer modern materials and like the way you dress it, I think that's really lovely.
Like I mentioned before, Kaylee is also filming a video on her channel, so you should definitely go check that out. I will of course link her channel in the corner and in the description. Her channel's the best when you want to learn more about unique inventions in history, ancient prehistoric sites, and everything in between.
Yeah, new archaeological discoveries are like my favorite thing to do, but like I can only make a video about it if there's a discovery, so sometimes you have to wait for like a month or two.
So get working, archaeologists.
Yeah, get working. Give me stuff to film.
We want content.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for watching if you made it this far. If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate if you could like it. And if you want to see more from me, please subscribe. I upload new videos every Friday. I hope you have a great day wherever you are, and I'll see you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Sorry.
No worries.
Sorry.
Okay.
Stupid.
Oh no.
Go
This is my constant battle. I mean, I'm not gonna be mad at the sun ever, but I'm gonna have to sit like this. So
I'm gonna join.
I feel blind. This is right in the old eyes.
Yeah.